Music for me is just from the very beginning of my life. It's been music. I grew up playing the piano as a kid, even before I knew what I was doing. For me, there's never really been any other path than this.
I just I just wish I knew what was real. Not just with Jacob, with everything. I think about the lives we had, the people we were. It's like after someone dies, and you have trouble remembering their face. Maybe I'm just losing my mind.
My route into film and TV has not been a very standard one. I don't really call myself a film composer. It's something that I always wanted to do, but at the time I was most excited to be hired for a film. It was before I had done anything, so nobody would hire me for obvious reasons. But I had all this film-sounding music just coming out of me constantly, so I just started releasing records. First independently, then got picked up by a record label, and later by a major label. Only after all of that, like touring the world with music and just being a normal musician, were people starting to go, well, maybe he could write music for our films. The first film I did was a small Icelandic film, actually was quite popular in Iceland, but never really went outside of Iceland. And then the second one was Another Happy Day by Sam Levinson. When I did that, there was all these big names attached to it, and I just remember how, like, getting that job, like Sam wanted me, and Ellen Barkin, who was producing that film with him, she wanted me, but to convince the rest of the producers, like to hire some 19-year-old from Iceland to do this was, I know it was not easy for them. I don't want this ever to become a job. In order to do that, I can't keep doing the same things. I can't do film after film after film after film. After I do a film, I have to go and do something completely different. So I've never really fully gone into the world of film composing full time. I do one project a year, I think. There was something really interesting about this one. There's so many crime shows being made. There's so many murder mysteries being made. And reading this one, I really felt the soul of it. There was something a little bit deeper to it, because it's not really about who murdered a kid. It's about a family tearing apart in the worst way possible, and really what happens when there's this, without spoiling the show, like this big disagreement on a fundamental life belief in your family. And so the theme was supposed to communicate that aspect of it, the fragility, the melancholy of it all, and that became the title theme. I didn't write this specifically as a title theme, and I hadn't seen the title sequence either when I made this. I would usually, it starts with improvisation, whether that's on a piano, which is a lot of the time I sit on a piano and I just play something until there's an idea, or it's in the computer. It's with, sending MIDI signals to different synthesizers and trying to create soundscapes. And actually for films, I would say I more often start there, because my approach to these film scores is that you have to create the sonic identity of the show first, and you have to have a concept for it too. You have to, like, what is the environment, the sonic environment, which all of the ideas for the show are going to live within. Because you're going to have many different themes through the whole series. There's going to be different melodies. There's going to be happy moments. There's going to be sad moments. There's going to be suspenseful moments, but they all have to live within the same world. Instead of starting with the theme, I often start with that world, just creating that world and the soundscapes that everything else then plays into. It's a mix of string instruments and electronic instruments. Mostly it's, I got a string quartet in there, so a couple of violins, a viola and a cello. And those kind of carry the emotional content and a little bit of the mystery for me as well, because they have this glissando feeling, which is like a ghostly kind of thing. So while they carry this emotional quality, for me, I'm usually working with a total contrast to that. We are so used to hearing electronic music all the time. It's in our pop music, it's in our hip hop music, it's everywhere. And I feel like by using electronic beats and synthesizers, I'm actually making these string instruments, which often feel outdated and traditional, I'm making them more relatable to myself and to others who watch it. Lately, and in the last years, really what I want to do as an artist is to be able to have my own voice. Doing that sometimes allows you to do TV shows because you can do these things and still have your own voice in it. You can still be the storyteller. But this is the really important thing, to not do the projects where I'm a work for hire and I'm just there to deliver someone else's message. So this is what's important for me as an artist. What really keeps me doing music, the challenge of it, the exploration and the discovery of finding new sounds, finding new melodies. It's always such a wonderful process. It can be very hard, it can be soul destroying at times, but there's always that point where you come over the hill and you see, it's like when you climb a mountain, and when you reach the peak of the mountain, you see the whole valley, and just to see the world from that perspective is a wonderful thing.